Hi, I'm Jazz, and I'm an LGBT youth who's aspiring to be a writer. And, well, I finally have the opportunity to do that with this school project. I'm going to be spending the next 7 months working and writing 5 short stories. And I would classify it as queer fantasy. uh, Growing up, I couldn't really find books that I was really into that had also good representation. And I know there's books out there that give good lesbian or bisexual characters, but it's just never in a genre that I found personally appealing to me. So I wanted to create a story that prominently featured identities that I didn't see as often in any media for that matter, or at least not represented properly. So, it's going to consist of a lot of characters with neopronouns and, like I said, uh, whoops, less shown, less shown identities. Um, as a LGBT youth who is bisexual and agender, I use they them pronouns, please. Um, I'm going to attempt this journey, and I'm going to take you along with me with some bad cam quality. And so now, you know my name and a bit about me. Here's just another little fun fact, so you just know just a tiny bit more. Uh, there's 5 foods I will never eat, and that is bell peppers, onions, mushrooms, cilantro, and sweet potatoes. Feel free to debate in the comments, but their textures are just off, and odors are just all wrong, and I'm right because I said so. Back to the project. It's going to take place in a high fantasy world. And for those who are not familiar with the term, high fantasy is a category of fantasy that takes place in a world that doesn't replicate our own. Think Lord of the Rings. That is a pretty famous high fantasy genre book. It's going to feature 3 realms called the Innerlands, the Outerlands, and the Underlands. The Innerlands is what we would have considered Earth, or just the main setting for mortals. And then the Outerlands are where the gods reside, and some are even trapped there. I'll get into that in a later video. The Outerlands, like their name, circle around like a ring around the Innerlands and Underlands. And finally, the Underlands are like their version of the afterlife. And it is like an upside down version of the Innerlands. And I just really like the concept, and I am really excited to develop it. And I hope it excites you too. And as time goes on, I'm going to develop it more, and I will be posting videos every Sunday. If you came from my TikTok, you've known that by now. That isn't a jab at anyone, no matter how that sounded. That was just. But on my TikTok, I will be posting on Wednesdays a progress report, basically, on what I developed throughout the week. And then finally on Saturday, I will sit down and actually film a full-length video of a character or location, or maps or miscellaneous things, as those will be the four main types. The four main types of videos I'm going to create. And finally, to close this out, I think I'm going to present to you the same schedule I gave to my school, so we're all on the same page. This might get a bit tedious. On September 15th, I am hoping to have countries and important locations basically planned out and given a history. Of course, I'll also be continuing to create characters that won't be showing up in the stories, but I still feel like are important to the history of the world to dedicate a video on. And this will mostly either be like famous leaders or gods that are prominently worshipped in different countries. Next, we have October 13th. I'm hoping to have the Pantheon completed, or at least the main segments of the Pantheon completed with prominent gods in each branch. Have history given. On November 10th, I'll have the culture and history of the Interlands at least partially completed, if not completely completed, with, the timeline and the dates. But history is a fickle thing, and who knows how that will turn out. And then finally, I'll have, on December 13th, all my maps. And basically, the maps are going to be those pirate kind of maps with dust. The pirate kind of maps with the sea monsters and the intricate compass. I don't know if those are pirate maps, but when I see those maps, I think pirate. And then we finally get to the stories after my winter break. I'm going to be spending 2 weeks on each short story. And the reason why I'm giving myself such little time between each story is because I also want to work on not overwriting. Because when I'm given a page count, I usually blow the page count way over, and I want to stop doing that to my teachers. So, by January 7th, I'll have the first one done. And then January 21st, it'll be the second. And then February 4th will be third. February 18th will be fourth. And then finally, the last one on March 4th. Then I'm going to take it all together. I'm going to throw it onto a slideshow and present it to my grade, to all the classes in my grade, and hope they enjoy it. And if you want to be along for the ride and get a better insight or better looks than whatever they're going to see, then maybe consider sticking around. And I'll hope to see you next week. See ya.